And good morning, everyone, from Bolero Mount Prospect. This is the PBA LBC National Championships 2024 edition. Good morning. I'm $2 Phil Brylo bringing you through today's squad, third squad of the tournament, last squad of our opening weekend. There's still 6 more weekends remaining. If you're looking to go out ahead, get your chance to bowl, you can win up to $25,000 here at Bolero Mount Prospect, and then there's another $100,000 up for grabs in total in September for the top finishers here at Bayside Bowl for an FS1 show. So we've got a special treat for you today. We'll have Norm Duke here in the booth with you later on, and we also have a special treat for you right now as we have Jason Sterner, Flash, hitting the lanes on lanes 15 and 16. Now, the PBA exempt division bowlers have their own prize fund, own separate division, so it's not like the bowlers on this pair are competing directly against Jason Sterner today. So I'm sure that breathes a sigh of relief for those players on Flash's pair or around Flash's pair. There you see Flash coming to the left side of your picture, and 10 back is the start for Sterner. Thanks to everybody joining us on the feed this morning. Can't wait to get Norm back, and with such great insight he provided us yesterday. And I was lucky enough this morning to man the cameras for some great pieces that Neil Stremmel, head of equipment and specifications for the PBA, and Norm Duke talked about some things dealing with the mental side of the sport. And once we get a couple of those Neil Stremmel's bowling breakdowns, those will come out in a few weeks, and it's going to be must-see to get kind of inside the head of one Norm Duke, one of the greatest of all time. So for those of you that aren't familiar with the LBC National Championships concept, it's a great tournament the PBA has put together. All squads bowl in the same pattern. It's a 43-foot pattern. It's about 4.5 to 1 on the ratio. It's a very playable pattern. You still have to make good shots. You don't have to make PBA Tour quality shots, but you have to make good shots. And Man's made a bunch of good shots during his career, and he had some great insight for us yesterday in the booth, and I'm sure he's going to share more this morning. PBA Hall of Famer Norm Duke. Norm, we got Flash out there. You got a chance to talk to him and see what he was thinking about going through. His preparation was pretty much the same as any other PBA event, even though this is a different format than what he's used to.
Right, you know, that's the thing you're going to see with professionals is they don't change their pre-round rituals. The same tape, the same, everything stays the same. And I tell you what, if you don't like Jason Sterner bowling, you don't know him. This guy is just, he's one of the good guys. And by the way, he's got a baby coming.
Really? Him and Heather? Oh, it's wonderful.
That's the reason that he's bowling this squad, because she's due.
Okay.
And he didn't want to, be in the PBA LBC when they have a newborn.
Right.
So he's getting it in and going home, and they're going to have a baby Heather. If you're listening, congratulations.
Oh, that's surprising for Flash.
So excited for you.
Yeah, slides behind the 6, takes out only the 10 with the spare ball. Yeah, I noticed when Heather was in the crowd at the Tournament of Champions that she had the little baby bump showing, and I didn't know how far along she was, and I didn't get a chance to ask Jason anything when I saw him at the World Series or TLC.
So if you have some great names you want to send our way, hey, we'll get them to Flash, and maybe that's what we should just name.
Right, Flash?
Yeah.
I could see that for a boy. Hey, you could have that for a girl too, Flash. Why not? I'm sure Heather would have a little something to say about that.
I'm pretty sure of it. Maybe the grandparents are like, Flash?
So, there's so many people in the chat right now Just happy that you're here, Norm, and there's already some questions flowing in. And
Well, thank you. We are on 43 feet, but this is fresh.
Yeah.
Fresh. So, early, they're not quite as playable as when, they break down a little bit. Now, this is not one of those unplayable patterns, as you were mentioning before.
Right.
It's very playable. However, you can't just throw it anywhere. Look, there's a lot of missed head pins right, missed head pins left. If you get it going towards the gutter, it'll go in. And so, listen, we are represented. The pattern represents PBA Tour, just that way. It may be a little bit softer. When I say a little bit, it's marginally softer.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of the Roth pattern, but with a little more length and volume in it.
That's correct.
Because the Roth is 42, and it's just a little less on the volume. And that's what your team's all bowled on in the PBA League. At Bayside Bowl was the Roth pattern. That's what it'll finish on again this year for the league. So people can kind of get that feel of what you guys hit during the Elite League Finals. So, and as we see at Bayside, it's never easy.
Oh, no. No. Even if the lanes are easy, gosh, you put it in that environment, it gets tough. And so, look, if you're playing the PBA LBC in the following weeks, then just realize that if you do make it to Maine, oh, man, all of the things that you're going to experience there, one of which is you're going to throw a ball. And let's say you make it out of the first round. Well, you don't throw another ball for 30 minutes. You just sit down and wait. And you've got commercials.
Yeah.
You've got 12 other people that have got a bowl. And you've got to get up there and throw the biggest shot of your life when you haven't thrown a ball in 30 minutes. And that was the one thing that I peeled out of that format last year that I thought, wow, as a 60-year-old, that's my age now, that would be almost impossible. Now, Lenny Borsch did it last year, so if he can do it, you can do it.
Look where Flash is letting that ball just ride out to about 5 board at the break point, and he's got strike open double to start. Now, one of the comments, we had a couple of good scores yesterday. A couple players, Ryan Kohlmeyer and Matthew Messner, both broke 1,400 for their 6-game totals. So they averaged over 230 a player, and they both said they both had bowled last year as well. And they think that scores could be down a little bit here at Bolero Mount Prospect as compared to Bolero Wauwatosa last year. They think it's a little tougher across the house. There's some differences from pair to pair. And that's the challenges all PBA players have when they go to a tournament like this is, great, you just got done with 10 minutes of practice. You open with 250, 260 on your opening pair. What are you going to do? You move 3 pairs to the right or 4 pairs to the right or go all the way across the house down to the low end. That's something that always has you as a PBA player thinking of what's going to happen next.
Right, and the benefit that we have as pros is we know the players that we're about to follow. We bowl against them every week, so we kind of know what they're going to do to a pattern. Well, when you're bowling this event, the pair that you're moving to, it's unlikely you're going to know anybody that you're following or what they're using or how many spare balls were thrown down the lane or things like that. So listen, when you make that move, you're going to have to be very nimble. Let your ball be your guide and don't just say, wait a minute, that was me. Realize that most of the time it may not be you. It's just the difference in how lanes break down through 10 minutes of practice and then a full game of bowling with 4 in a pair.
There's Flash 3 in a row on the board for Sterner. So, and his equipment he's throwing out there, you mentioned it yesterday. Don't bring really aggressive equipment, even if you might not be the highest rev player, because this pattern kind of blends everything out for you, the way the pattern's designed.
Yeah, I like medium balls, and if you're going to use a asymmetrical ball, maybe a little bit more shiny, because you got to get it down the lane. You got to get that ball into the pins with some pop in it, and you don't want it to tire on the way. If you're going to use a symmetrical ball, okay, well then that's just a medium shell, medium ball. You can put some hand in it, and you can open up the back end a little bit, and that's what Jason Sterner's doing in front of us. You can see he's arcing his ball a little bit further to the right than most of the other players. And by the way, this Lee, I tell you what, on lane 16, I met her, gosh, I think a couple of years ago, but then I saw her again today, and she was so psyched and pumped to bowl with Jason Sterner. That's what you get in this event.
Yeah.
You know, how did she know she's going to be bowling with Jason Sterner right out of the gate?
Right.
My goodness.
And you're not bowling against them. Once again, the PBA exempt tour players have their own division. I'm sure Leah's bowling in the girls handicap division. Great to have that on board this year for the young players, boys handicap and girls handicap. And they both have $2,500 in guaranteed first place prizes and that trip to Bayside Bowl.
And the trip to Bayside. But listen, that smart money is imperative right now. And it allows so many people to go to colleges that otherwise they just would not be able to afford.
Yep.
I know my son, he's 28 now, but the SMART program was brand new when he was in junior league. And we utilized that in every regard. My wife was on it. And so when he went to trade school in Lakeland, a lot of that was a byproduct of that SMART program. We so appreciate it. Here's Sterner again on the right lane.
And that was about 2 boards left of his last shot. And you could see a little smile on Jason.
Little smile on his face there, yeah. And then, you know, that's what our job is as a pro, is to expose the maximum amount of room that you can generate. And listen, he's putting a little bit of hand in there, but he's not, you know, full throttle yet.
Yep.
You can tell he's got a little room. He's also got an early open he's got to make up for, too. That'll get a man started.
Those will wake you up, no doubt. Hey, we got a question in the chat, Norm.
Let's go.
And actually, I'm going to kind of help answer this one. It says, Norm, please give me some good advice on how to let bad shots go and not allow the negativity to continue to get in my head. We just did a video about that this morning that people will see in a few weeks, so I'm not going to spoil it for everyone. But Neil Stremel's Bowling Breakdown, and we're going to have a couple of them featuring Norm Duke, and one of them is going to cover that exact subject about how you just let the bad shots go. How, if your timing doesn't feel right, how do you get through it? And you gave some great advice on there. So I'm going to say, watch Neil Stremel's Bowling Breakdown. Next few weeks, you're going to get that out there, James. And
yeah, but, you know, I'll give you a little something.
Give a little preview here.
You know, I'm a golfer. I'm an avid golfer. And for a while there when I was first starting, I would get aggravated and upset at making shots that just weren't up to my expectations. That's the word, Phil, expectation. That is the killer. So if you have trouble moving on from bad shots, bad games, bad play, bad feels, then what you really need to know is that the expectation is the inherent problem. Drop the expectation. Realize that, listen, there is nothing in my anticipation that can knock pins down. And if I expect to make a 4-bagger, well, that's less than 5 and 6 baggers, right?
Right.
So that expectation hurts you. If you expect to get a double and you get an open, that expectation is what's going to keep you in that negativity mode. Drop that. Drop your expectation and just realize, hey, look, maybe you have in your mind the scoring pace, which is important to have in your mind, but your expectation should not be existent at that point. Drop it, because then now you'll be able to move on, because you didn't match your expectation and you didn't fall short of it either.
Right.
You're now bowling. So I think expectation, at least with my golf game, that is what caused my frustration. As soon as I dropped the expectation, my golf game got better, because I didn't hang on to every little thing, you know.
Yeah. I did that yesterday. Well, to set up some of this equipment, I had to do the same thing. Wasn't the perfect shot, but sometimes you just got to fight through it and make it happen. And we got there. It just took a little time. Yeah, we got there.
You got there.
We got there. The smile on her face. Is Jason Belmonte bowling this event? I don't see him on any of the rosters to this point.
I kind of doubt it. We're talking about a guy from Australia.
Yeah.
And it would be difficult for him. He wouldn't fly all the way over here for a 6-game round. He wouldn't do that. But he might come in paired with other events that he's got scheduled. You know, he does the Jason Belmonte League Nights. Mm-hmm. And I tell you what, he's so good that way. Most of the people that I talk to say, I met Jason Belmonte. We don't meet Jason unless he's there. And I tell you what, he's so good about being present at so many events. But to expect him in this event, it would have to be paired with something else that he's doing.
Right, and next weekend, because it's taking up Saturday and Sunday on CBS Sports Network with the PBA Tour Finals, it's going to be tough for Jason to work around that. He would have either had to come in a week early or stay another week, and that's just with his schedule and his family, 4 kids and everything.
Four kids?
I know, it's just a tough call.
How do you have 4 kids when you travel the USA Tour and she's in Australia? I mean,
well,
he
had 3. He actually had the 3 older ones with him, and Kimberly, his wife, wasn't pregnant yet when they were here right before the world got shut down, World Series of Bowling, because Kimberly Pressler and Jason Belmonte did the zip line in downtown Las Vegas, and I did some when I was doing some video work for Kimberly Pressler, and and all of a sudden Jason announces during the pandemic, number 4 on the way. So apparently that was the key to having number 4, being home for the pandemic.
Being home from being locked up with somebody. Yeah.
So, but hey, he's a pretty good guy for my 4th favorite Australian bowler of all time. So.
Yeah, he is.
It's a running joke that I know irritates him, but it's funny to me. So, I mean, when you have Andrew Frawley, who you're very familiar with from the senior tour, I was lucky enough to call the IBF World Championships this past fall from Kuwait with Andrew Frawley as my color analyst, so that was a great time. And then Carol Giannotti, remember what she did on the women's tour back in the 90s and 2000s, and then my number 1 favorite all time, because I'm left-handed myself, is Kara Honeychurch, the Doomsday Striking Machine. Boy, could she put them together.
Doomsday Striking Machine. I do remember that.
Yeah. And, could she string them together on TV? My goodness, she had a run in 98 and 99 that was tough to be matched on the PWBA Tour back in the day. So now she's in charge of 10-pin Bowling Australia. So she's still well involved in the sport. So for Kara Honeychurch. So. But yeah, I joke around with Jason. He's my 4th favorite Australian bowler of all time. He's obviously the best Australian bowler of all time.
Obviously, probably the best bowler of all time.
Right.
I mean, when you have 15 major championships and second is 10, you would certainly lead that list. And I tell you what, I got to bowl him, no doubt about it. Many years I got to bowl him, and he was and still is so impressive.
And he never stops working on this game.
Never. No.
You look at the video of him from 2006, 2007, right before he came out on the PBA Tour, when Tom Clark had to convince him, hey, come to the U.S., give the PBA a try. I know it's going to be a lot for you and your family and everything, but you need to do it. And then within a year, Jason's a title holder, and then he just kept working on his game. You see how the form's different, and the sight lines are different for him, and everything. The body's in different positions than it used to be, and it's just helped the longevity of his career. You never hear him going, oh, my knee or oh, my shoulder or anything like that. I think that's been a huge part of it too, where he knew to make things last, he had to change certain parts of his game.
Well, not only that, there were so many questions about all two-handers and how long can they last, and are they doing irreparable damage to certain parts of their body? No.
Right.
The answer to that is no. If you're clean and you do it correctly, you can do it forever, even with 2 hands, and Jason has proven that. There's not a time that I remember, Phil, that Jason said, I have a wrist issue, a finger issue, a knee, an ankle, nothing. He's physically been just fine. It's the rest of us. That's all the one-handers that, the thumb alone, just the thumb pain alone trumps most knees.
Right.
So
let's see what Leah can do here, keeping that ball on target line on lane 16. Oh, creeps a little high. But the great part about this LBC National Championships, divisions for everyone. You don't need to be a Jason Sterner. You don't need to be a high average amateur. If you're just starting out, Leah's only bowled for a few years being a youngster, and she's still working on her game and getting better, and you need to get the experience in tournaments like this to get your mental acuities sharp and make things happen, and this is a perfect event for her to go, don't chop it.
Nice shot there. She's a cutie.
And she's styling. She's got her jersey, her skirt. I mean, there's not too many bowlers here that aren't in some form of customized jersey. It's pretty cool to see. I mean, we know H5G is the official supplier. They're here. With all the merchandise.
I'm wearing high five right now.
You have a great new shirt on there too. It's like an 80s retro with the figures coming in like a shadow behind you with your form and everything. Whoever designed that shirt is phenomenal. And you can get all the PBA merchandise for the PBA LBC National Championships if you can't make it here in person. H5gbrands.com has all that for you. So I want to give a nice shout out to them. And
Yeah, Tia, I think it's Tia Higgins. She designed that.
Yep.
And she sent me over 3 or 4 versions, and I said, I like that one there. And so we went with it. And they're all here. They'll be here for the remainder of the event. So if you're interested in any kind of apparel like that, well, I'm going to pre-sign some on my way out today. So many of the players, when they get here, they won't have the ability to get them signed. So we just want to make sure that that's available.
Okay. That's beautiful. So, yeah, get yourself some autographed Norm Duke merchandise. See what Flash can do. You're trying to close out for 247.
I'm on the due.
Still in the, yeah, I didn't know if he had made a ball change there or not, but no, still in the same piece. That's a little right of that. Boy, you got a couple of boards out there, but his speed's been consistent. Watching his speed, he might have a little launch farther right or a little tucked inside, but his speed, you just watch it, and it's that same 1/1000, 2/1000, and as soon as you hit 3, it's hitting the pocket. So.
Right, and he does know that he has some return about 3, 4, well, I'll say 3, 4, 5, 6 down lane. He's got return. So now he's going through 2, but his main thought is 2. So he's going through the arrows to the break point, but his main thought in his mind is, what do I want as far as the behavior down lane right there.
There you go, 6 slaps the 10. And I've been watching the carry here, and I haven't seen a heck of a lot on the flat 10 situation.
No, this is a lot better carry than, as you mentioned, is that we were in Milwaukee last year. I had won tournaments in that bowling center, and partly because the carry is you either have it or you don't. Well, here the carry is, I think, much more consistent. Now, are there going to be higher scorers or low? I don't know yet. A lot of things have to materialize before we will know that.
And then Flash on the last ball makes the ball change.
He does.
Bowlers on the PBA Tour are always thinking ahead. And some people question, well, why would you do that when you're going to go right into that same bowling ball you used 11 shots the next game? What's the logic behind that?
Well, he wants an option is all. Now, he's saying to himself, look, on a bad shot I'm going to get 8, maybe 7. So I'm going to throw away a pin or 2. On a good shot, I'm not going to throw any pins away, but I'm going to gain the information that I need. I need another option. So what if the next shot, the next pair, he throws one out to 5-6 and it wiggles big time? Well, then he's going to know I'd rather play hold on this pair than to try to bend it back. So what he did is grabbed a bowling ball that will lay for him and said, do I have lay?
Okay.
And he threw the ball. He has lay, so now he has an option. He can throw it to the 5-6 board and play return, or he can make that ball change and then play lay down left of target and get it to just hold. The hardest thing now, Phil, is determine on your first shot which one you're going to make, because sometimes you try another ball and it looks so much better than the original one, but you're on 250.
Right.
So what do? Do you get out of the 250 ball, or do you just say, no, that looked a little better than it probably is going to look?
Now here's an interesting question, because Sterner and all the PBA exempt players that will be coming in through this entire tournament, they bowled here in February for the Illinois Classic.
They did.
And so they covered the whole house when they had qualifying and match play, and they bowled all over this place. Different oil pattern. It was a much shorter oil pattern for that event. Can you use notes that you had from that tournament bowling this PBA LBC National Championship, if they made mental notes on how this pair hooked or how this pair had more skid before it turned over, that type of thing? Can those notes still come in handy, or do you have to kind of like empty the memory banks?
Well, you need to empty the memory bank, but keep some of it. Now, for instance, they were on a shorter pattern, so the breakdown would have been different. So does that make the topography different? No, the topography would stay the same. So that, say, you got to the end pair and they were ice for you, that's probably topography, because all lanes were oiled with a machine identically. So, yes, that comes into play. When I got to the end pair coming back, I would absolutely move to the right because it's tighter back then. Now then, when it comes to, well, what do I do in game 2, 3, 4? What are my adjustments? Those will be completely different because you're on a short and now you're on a longer. Okay, so you can throw those out the window. So some of the information that you garnished, 3 or 4 months ago, absolutely usable. Some of it's not. You can toss it.
Okay.
the pros know what to toss to.
Yeah.
They're so good at that.
Exactly. I mean, it's just like I would just think, okay, this pair did this when I was here 3 months ago, but all of a sudden I throw my first ball on that pair again, and I'm like, hold on, it didn't do the same thing it did 3 months ago,
right,
because the pattern's 6 or 7 feet different in length, and obviously different where the volume's laid out and everything too. So if you have questions for Norm, here's the time to ask him, because how often can you get Hall of Fame answers to your questions? You can do it this weekend here on the PBA LBC National Championships main feed. So someone's asking what the skip procedure is. Depends on the number of lanes in play on a squad. Obviously, yesterday on our 2 p.m. squad, we were maxed out with the number of pairs, but they will cross the entire house regardless. Let's say I know Father's Day is going to be a really small squad because a lot of people are going to be still spending time with their families. Some families might bring dad down here to bowl the PBA LBC National Championships, and it's a great thing.
That's their Father's Day gift.
Right. You can bowl with your dad and get a chance to win $25,000 if you're in the Open Classic division, or $5,000 in the other divisions for the adults. So, but such as this morning, they're going to be moving just 1 pair to the right, but then they're going to skip 3 pairs, 1 pair, and 4 pairs. So they are covering all the way across the house here at Bolero Mount Prospect. And that's a great way to do it. Even if we only had 6 teams on the pair, or six lanes in play, they'd still be covering all the way down to lanes 11 and 12. So, yeah, that definitely helps keep it fair from squad to squad, because you might not have the same number of bowlers, but you have, you have the ability to cross the house, and we talked about players were saying yesterday how different some of these pairs were.
Yeah, and you know what? When it comes to fairness, look, the pros know if it's not fair, we don't like it, period. And we won't bowl. That's just the way it is. Yeah. We want it on the square. You look at the list, and there's probably 35 or 40 pros already signed up for this thing. If there's that many pros signed up, it's on the square, and they want to win. Yep. You know they want to win. Yep.
So we're going to take a little audio intermission here. If you need to refresh your beverage, do that, and we'll be back with Norm Duke in just a couple of minutes. Enjoy the rest of Game 1 of the 2024 PBA LBC National Championships from Bolero Mount Prospect. All right, on to game 2. Flash starting with a strike. I'm $2 Phil Bryla, bringing you through the rest of our opening weekend. This is our final squad of that weekend. Norm Duke talking to a couple of fans. We'll get Norm back in the booth to answer your questions shortly. Let's see if there's any questions I can answer. On here. We are at Bolero Mount Prospect answering David's question. We're near O'Hare Airport. It's great for people flying in because you can literally cab it for about $25 to $30 from O'Hare. And then, heck, you can get in and out in a day. There were some players that did that last year. Milwaukee flew in the morning, bowled the afternoon squad on a Saturday at 2 p.m., and then flew back home that night. I remember John Fury doing that out of New Jersey. So that was quite, and that was a good trip for him because Fury ended up being part of the LBC National Team Champions. So the optional events that you can bowl on here. It's not just your singles entry you have a chance to win cash or scholarship money on, depending on your division. But you can also win in optional events for adult bowlers. There are brackets available, handicap and scratch on each squad. And then there's also doubles events and singles events, or doubles events and team event. And you can bowl with anyone as your doubles partner. You can bowl with any other 3 players as your team. So let's say you're scheduled to bowl in a couple of weekends. So you're scheduled to bowl June 15th. And you look at our schedule, and there's a list, there's an article on the PBA.com website talking about the second annual PBA LBC National Championships. And you can see the schedule of players from the PBA exempt category that are bowling. And let's say you come in on June 15th, but Andrew Anderson's one of your favorite players, and you want him to be your doubles partner. Well, since you're bowling before Andrew, you can pay that entry fee. It's $50 per doubles team. And then you use your first 3 games you bowl in the 6-game qualifying block. Andrew used his first 6 games, and we combine them together, and that makes your doubles total. Now, it doesn't matter if you're in the men's or women's handicap division, because you'll get your total with handicap to go along with Andrew Anderson's total. Let's say you want to put a 4-player team together with Andrew Anderson, A.J. Johnson, and E.J. Tackett. Well, you could do that as well. It's $100 for a team entry. Enter those 4 names for your team, pay the $100 entry fee, and use your games 4, 5, and 6 for all those players for your team total. And it's neat because let's say you've got a friend that's bowling a couple weeks before you, but your friend isn't always timely on making sure things happen. Things slip their mind once in a while. You can actually go on your PBA League Pals account, and there's the links there for the PBA LBC National Championships to make payments and enter the optional doubles and optional team events on League Pals before your friend would bowl. So you can make sure that entry is paid, and then you would have your doubles total. So it's great that way. Those entry fees just have to be paid before the first player in either the doubles pairing or the team pairings bowls. And there's a great way to win some additional money that way. And you can bowl with anybody else in the tournament. You don't have to be bowling on the same squad or even the same weekend to make that happen. Now, Flash having some challenges going strike spare open here early in game 2. And once again, even though this might be an easier lane pattern, some might say, than what Jason Sterner finds on the PBA National Tour event in and event out, doesn't mean you can't get caught off guard a little bit. So Leah Gerard, she's bowling in the girls handicap division. Alex Rodriguez bowling in the senior Classic division. Jose Rodriguez on this pair bowling in the men's handicap division. Robert Proctor also in the men's handicap division. So it looks like they moved Jose Rodriguez to the pair next door. So, of course, Jason Sterner, part of that PBA exempt division. So Sterner will be our leader regardless today because he's the first PBA exempt player to bowl here in the 2024 edition of the PBA LBC National Championships. And it's not too late at all to sign up for this event. You can go to the LBC National Championships website, get all your tournament information, and there's a link right there you can click to get signed up. And there's that link coming on your screen right now, pba.com/LBC tournament. So you sign up as individuals. So even if, let's say, you had 3 friends that you wanted to bowl with, you pay for your singles entries first online. And then you can bowl together. You can sign up to bowl together on the same pair. So hopefully that answers your question, Mandy. There's that website address, pba.com/LBC tournament. We'll leave that up there for a minute for everyone to write that down, take notes, and get yourself signed up. There's only one squad I know of that's sold out, and that's June 29th at 2 p.m. There's going to be a lot of PBA 50 players bowling on that squad. There's also going to be a lot of them on the 7 p.m. squad that evening. On normal weekends, the squad times are 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. on a Saturday, and 11 a.m. for your start time on Sunday. I know they've added an extra squad on June 29th at 7 p.m. So that'll be wonderful for bowlers that want to come in that weekend and bowl. And there's a lot of frequently asked questions. There's links to local hotels, so you can find good rates that the PBA has set up for those participating or spectating here in the LBC National Championships. Let's see what Flash can do here to bounce back, get a double on the board. Usually once these guys make those adjustments from the first shots, it's a lot of strikes, but that one was a little over the top for Flash with the release. And the 3-6-10, not an easy target. It's wide. But the problem with that is too much of the 3-pin, you chop it straight back. Not enough of the 6-pin falls in the flat gutter. It doesn't take out the 10. Norm talked about yesterday, more and more players going to even a backup release. There's Flash just with it, just end over end. The only Andrew's got a question about band equipment. Let me get that link again that I had yesterday that I was sent by Neil Stremmel, our Director of Equipment and Specifications. And I'm going to post that right now in the chat. There's really not a lot of bowling balls that are illegal for this PBA LBC National Championships. The big one to worry about is the Purple Hammer from 2016 or 2017. If your serial number starts with a 6 or a 7 on that Purple Hammer, that's pretty much illegal across all competition, as it's knowingly too soft. There was a issue in the manufacturing process those couple of years. They changed the urethane formula, and we all know the mess that has caused. So But you can actually check through that link for searching by bowling ball company and by the actual make name of the bowling ball. So if I wanted to look for, let's say, motive tank, and I can see all of there's quite a few tanks that are out there, but you can see which balls and when they were approved on that certified bowling ball link. So yeah, please check your equipment before you get here. Really, the only ones you have to worry about are those purple hammers from 2016 and 2017. Other than that, it would be very rare that I think somebody would have a bowling ball that is not fully legal for use in PBA LBC competition. And one thing to remember, different rules for this LBC National when it comes to bowling equipment and that type of thing than what the professionals would have at the PBA National Tour level. So, yeah, if you have questions, there's going to be tournament staff on site that can verify any of your bowling ball information before you get on board. And joining me back in the booth is Hall of Famer Norm Duke.
Yeah, I got a question.
All right.
For the rules, if you throw with two hands and you want to throw a spare ball with one hand, legal?
Sure.
Sure, like it.
Asku, prime example.
Exactly. Prime example. What about the extra hole? You're not allowed to use that spare ball that has 3 holes on your first shot, though.
Correct.
That is okay.
Unless you put your thumb in the ball. You can't like in the old days, they let you get away with covering it. Wow, Flash just stoned an 8-pin. The wry smile on the way back. I say every time a professional does that, Randy Peterson is sitting at home in Florida, and he can feel disturbance in the force.
He can feel it, yeah.
And there's a chill over his spine.
Yeah.
So... But yeah, there's the thumb hole you must have your thumb in the hole. Any extra hole that you have, or not an extra hole, but if you have a thumb hole, you have to put your thumb in it. You can't just cover it up with your palm or anything.
Now, if you are ambidextrous and you throw with one hand both sides, you're allowed to do either side or both during this event. Yes or no?
If you're in a scratch category, you cannot do it.
Oh, you can't do it in a handicap because they're handicapped based on your. Okay, that's why I asked that question.
Based on the hand you throw on, correct.
I'll be darned.
So, yeah, so it's pretty, there's the little things in life that can make it interesting.
I'm not ambidextrous, so it doesn't apply to me.
I'm left-handed. One time due to an injury to my left hand, to a couple of fingers, I had to bowl right-handed for 3 months. I averaged 117 by the time I got done. I actually had a 150 game by the time I got done with that 3 months of league. And so I had to go, but then I had to go into tournaments next year because I was back to bowling left-handed, and they see, what's this 150? They didn't mark that it was with the opposite hand. So, because then they started hollering sandbagger and everything. Yeah. That's not the average I'm using. I'm using my 210 house shot average or whatever it was. But yeah, it's kind of funny. It's almost 100 pins different between the two.
For those of you that are getting handicapped now and you have aspirations to involve yourself in all the scratch stuff, once you graduate to that level, I'm telling you, so many things get better. Because it's stay behind the line, knock them down. We don't care how you do it.
And actually, there's a good question here about staying behind the line.
You must.
Somebody in the chat, you must.
You must.
Somebody is worried because they're staying too far behind the line. They finished about 2 feet behind the foul line. They want to start sliding closer to the line. Any tips you might have about how they can do that? Because that's tough because not only are you changing your full sight line on how you've bowled for years if somebody's doing that.
Right, but it's necessary that you do because if you're 2 feet behind the line, your bowling ball inevitably is going to be landing on the dry, either the approach or the dry portion of the lane, because there's about 4 inches, 3 inches there that is not oiled from that foul line. So get closer to the line. And listen, if Pete Weber's sliding an inch from the foul line and you're sliding 2 feet, you're spotting him 2 feet every time you throw your ball. Good luck. You're not going to beat Pete Weber if you're spotting him 2 feet. Now, how do you do it? All right, go up to the line facing the pit area and put your heels where you want to slide. If you're a 5-step bowler, take 5 regular steps. Add a half a step. That's for the slide. And then turn around toe-to-toe. That's where you should start. Now, you can adjust that a little bit. Let's say you run to the line. Well, then you need to back up a little bit more because you're going to have a longer slide. And let's say you stalk the line with no slide. Well, then you can move up another 2 or 3 inches, I guess, or half a foot. But I teach all amateurs just to start up there, walk 5 steps if you're a 5-step bowler, 4 steps if you're 4, and more if you're 6 or 7. And then when you go toe-to-toe after you add that half step, that's a really good indication of where you should be starting. And then you can use that as a barometer from that point when you make your little adjustments. But realize this, you're not going to beat Pete if you're spotting him 2 feet every time he throws the ball down the lane. It's not happening.
Oh, another good question here. 708 Dukes is asking, what's your best bowling memory from around here in the Chicago area?
The Chicago, man, I've got 40 years of Chicago memories, no doubt. You know, we used to bowl the World Open. Gosh, I forgot the city. It started with a Z.
Lake Zurich.
Lake Zurich. Yeah, that's where it was.
I had to remember that one.
When we got to that event, we had what we called the gold coats that would stand behind you, and there would be 4 or 5 gold coats at all times, and they were just basically making sure everybody played by the rules, and they became our best friends. And I tell you what, we haven't bowled that World Open. It actually got mixed in. Now it used to be the National Championship and the World Open. They were 2, and now it's 1 tournament, right? Mm-hmm. They combine them. Okay. So we no longer have that ambiance with the yellow coats, or the gold coats we call them, standing behind us at all times. And some of them became really good friends of ours. I know that Chuck and I'm spacing their names, but every time we went to Chicago, we'd have dinner with them, and it was awesome.
There you go. Yeah, a couple of people commenting, and they're seeing some of the spares being made this game. It's going to be a little tough for Leah here to pick up the 710. This would be a career highlight for her, no doubt, if she gets a lucky bounce.
Be a career highlight from anybody.
Yeah, a little tease. But, yeah, spares are key, and even in a tournament like this where the shot might be considered a little easier, that you can lose a lot of pins in a hurry if you miss back-to-back spares. It's tough to make up.
Yeah, and, you know, like Sterner left the solid 8, and then there's the 710. If you do that back-to-back, it's almost like you feel like you don't have any chance, because in order to make the rounds in Portland, you have to be the top 3 in your division. Well, a solid 8 and a 710, and when you only have 6 games, seems like it's insurmountable. It's not, but it seems that way. Man, you just got to have everything go your way if you're going to be in the top 3 after all of the games that are bowled.
Somebody jokingly says on here, this is a competition. I have no friends, because I was talking about bowling with your friends here. I have no friends. This is a competition. I have no friends.
I love it.
It's a good one. A couple of people asking, targeting. Where do you look at your targeting? Do you look at the dots or the arrows, or what's your targeting? Yeah,
folks, I'm a through 2 guy. All right, so I'm going to be kind of glaring at the arrow region, okay? Usually just beyond the arrows, about 6-7 inches. And yes, I will look at that, but I will glare then and know where my break point or my hold point is. So I'm a through 2. I'm going to go through the arrow region to either the break point or the hold point or area down lane where I want to control behavior. And that is why most of my thoughts are down lane, because I want behavior down lane. And the early target is only direction. So I'm going to glare on direction because I'm going to get it through that. But my main thought, even though I'm kind of glaring at the early, my main thought is down lane and what I want that ball to do once it gets there. If you only look at the arrows and you don't think anything about down lane, then you're going to miss the behavior portion of that, which I think is the most important thing. Okay. Are you peeling it off 5 down lane? Well, then you need that behavior. You need it to peel. You need it to come on. And if you're playing hold, the last thing you want to do is get a fistful and try to play hold with maximum revs on it, right? Yeah. So that behavior down lane is everything to me.
There you go. Hey, keep piling those questions in the chat on our main feed here for our 11 a.m. squad. Last squad this opening weekend. We've got Norm Duke with us for a bit.
Yeah, you asked me about Chicago. I got one for you.
Okay, here we go.
The Peterson Classic one year.
Yes.
And I came with a guy called Smitty. All right, Smitty doesn't bowl. He doesn't bowl at all. He's my golf buddy. But he says, Norm, I got a vacation. I want to come and bowl this tournament. I hear about it. You tell me about it. Well, I don't bowl. I don't get an average or anything, but I want to go bowl the Pete with you. Yeah. I said, let's go. And now Ken Smith is his name, Smitty. He probably averaged about 130 at best. Okay. But he didn't have an average because he didn't bowl a league. Yeah. But he came and bowled the Peterson one time with me. Well, I am in the last game of the Peterson, game 8, and I have a shot to win.
Oh,
This is the year that Johnson, Johnson, the girl.
Oh, Liz
Johnson.
Yeah.
Won. Okay.
Yeah.
So the year that Liz Johnson won, at that point I could take the lead with about a 210.
Okay.
And that's doable,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
All right. So Smitty starts with a double, and then he gets a turkey. Well, all the people are crowded around to watch me, but they know that Smitty can't bowl very well, and he's got a turkey, and he's starting to run him out a little bit. Okay, he throws the 4th. Now they've changed. They're not on me at all. They are all on the Smitty train. And when he got that 5-bagger, which I've never gotten a 5-bagger in my lifetime in the Pete, right? He gets that 5-bagger, and he turns around, and he gives it, and this place went crazy. I'm over here bowling. I'm bowling a soft 172, and I'm listening to this crowd absolutely go crazy for Ken Smith. And they fell in love with him. I brought him 3 years in a row, and when he came in the next year, I mean, he was signing autographs. It was great.
Oh, yeah, if you haven't had a chance to bowl the Pearson, it's not too far away from here at Bolero Mount Prospect. It's at Bolero Vernon Hills, and if you've never bowled it, you're going to have your own story. It may not be a Smitty story, but you will have stories to tell your friends and family. And the one I know I've talked about on air a couple times, I had my best score ever. I made the top 100 one year with a house ball off the rack in Hoffman Estates because my thumb slug came out. I brought one ball with me. I brought a Brunswick Black Phantom, the old one from 90, whatever. Had it with me, and the thumb slug came out, and the pro shop was closed, and we had to start bowling.
Oh, no.
And I looked, I have no glue. Nobody in my squad's got glue, and it's not going to dry in time. I'm like, great. So I grabbed a 15-pound house ball off the rack, conventional drip. I shot 15-10.
Wow.
With a conventional grip house ball.
Okay, that's 90 under at the Pete, which is stellar.
Yeah.
Even if you had your own equipment and everything, that's still stellar.
Yeah, with a house ball. That's like the highlight of my career, pulling that one out.
And it had the 1.5 on the side.
Yeah, it had the 1.5 on the side and everything. I still have the picture I took with it.
Good thing your shoes didn't say 9.5 on the back, right?
But that's the thing. Everybody, you walk out, everybody gets a story to tell. So I remember hearing one time about Pete Weber, first time he bowled a Pearson, he thought he had 100 the first game. They go, you still need 2, and he took the 7-pin off the left for 99. Jeff Riggles told me that. I think it was Jeff Riggles that told me that story. So, yeah, the Pearson, if you haven't bowled it, it's phenomenal. Hey, let's take a little audio intermission.
Okay.
Fans can refresh, we can refresh, and we'll get Jason Sterner back on next game. We're going to follow him all 6 games this round, but those pair feeds are available to you. Look in the description if you're following somebody else on the squad. Open up that second tab. Listen to Norm and I. Watch your friends bowl. We got a lot of people doing it. We appreciate you coming on. And
yeah, we have these feeds too. So if you have a question about your friends, go ahead. Send them our way. We'll try to answer everything.
Right. So, and somebody's asking right now, Sean, line me up. I'm on lane 13 for game 3.
There you go. All right, lane 13. That's one left to where Sterner, I'd say peel it off the 5 board.
We'll be back with game 3 in just a couple of minutes. All right, we are back here at Game 3. We're back with PBA Hall of Famer Norm Duke. We're sticking with Flash. There you see Jason Stern. He's going to be stepping up shortly on lane 24. Game of the 230 or 240s, game of the two teens for Sterner to start so far. And the frustration level for some players starting to come through. You see the arms go up in the air. What do I do now?
Yeah, I threw that ball at home every time at the 610 and made it every time.
Oh man, this is just such a fun event. And after year one, when they asked me to come back and do the live streaming, I didn't even blink an eye and said absolutely. Just because you see so many different players and styles, and just families are making an event out of this with, you know, mom and dad. You know, we've got whole families bowling, you know, next to each other or on the same pairs, and you're watching teams come in with matching jerseys. It's so awesome to see. And once again, it doesn't matter if you're a player of Flash's ability or a player of my ability. You can come out here, have some fun, and get your chance to win money and get your chance to get the Duke once this is all over and done with in September after the PBA LBC National Championships clash at Bayside Bowl. And you know, if you're lucky enough and good enough to shoot 300 in this tournament, once again this year,
get a mini Duke.
A mini Duke. So I know
I gave one out yesterday. Yeah,
yes,
awesome.
Indeed. So I mean, that is just that's the coolest 300 game award ever. I know we were goofing around yesterday about, you know, I've seen guys win cars end up in the junk heap after a few years. That Duke is forever.
I'd still take a car.
I know.
I'll take a car. Yeah.
Yeah, Dave Traber winning a car in Milwaukee, and then it was funny because obviously for TV shows and stuff like that, they always have insurance policies. Like
right.
A couple of years back when it was the $1 million and somebody shot 300 in the championship match on any of the Fox network shows for the majors, that was an insurance policy that was bought. Well, what happened was with this tournament with Dave Traber is that it only paid off on a sanctioned 300 game.
Oh,
that year they didn't sanction the tournament.
They didn't sanction the tournament.
So then there was this big fight back and forth, and he sued the dealer in the tournament, and he ended up getting a cash settlement. He took a cash settlement instead of the car. But yeah, 300. What's the most you've ever won with a 300 game, Norm?
The most I've ever won with a 300 game. Oh my goodness, probably $500 maybe. I don't know. I don't remember winning very much ever.
Okay.
But surely it happened.
Yeah.
You know what? I think it's zero because I'd always choke if it was worth anything. I'd choke for that silver ring coming out of USBC with the, yeah.
Wait. 40 titles, so you can put them all on in the 10th when you need them for that, but for 300 it just wasn't. You get the first two and it wasn't going to happen on the third one.
Man, I was king of the choke. I could choke. I'd choke it. And I had to learn how not to. I tell you, that was one of the hardest things for me is I kept saying if I could just bowl like I know I can, then I can win tournaments. But I couldn't get it done. And then I had to learn how to bowl on television. I had to learn. And then, I had to set the streak that I won 24 out of 26 TV matches. Same guy.
Right.
Same guy. I went 9 years without winning a tournament because I couldn't bowl on TV to winning 24 out of 26 matches. So when you're saying, what's the difference in TV? It's so different. It's stupid. And you just can't explain it until you're there. You can't know until you're there.
Yeah.
And boy, is it heartbreaking when you don't know how to bowl on television. And then now when I learned that there is, a way to approach television, I see the same difficulties that I was going through in the other players, and they're learning how to bowl on television.
Right.
And so we help them out as much as we can.
Yeah, it's just it's not just the lights, and everybody goes, well, back in your day, it was the heat of the lights. Those lights generate a lot of heat.
Yeah.
Nowadays, we have LEDs like we have light in my booth here. You don't even feel it, but the crowd, the pressure, the timeouts, the people talking to you during the timeouts from the PBA production crew, then talking to your ball rep and going,
and your mom's watching
right.
on television, and oh my gosh, there's so many things that.
Yeah, it's it's night and day. It kind of showed at the World Series of Bowling this year because they had all the qualifying match play in the 54-lane main bay, and then you have that arena bay where they had the TV shows, and all of a sudden everything that everybody was trying to that worked all week, in the main bay didn't exactly work sometimes on TV in that arena bay.
Exactly.
With the lanes were a little different because they were newer.
Well, especially in that place because you're bowling on lanes that we haven't bowled on all week,
Yeah.
and they're putting the same pattern on. As you just saw, Jason Sterner there, he has moved in, and he has pulled out another handful of rev, and now he's still getting to the same spot down lane, but he's getting a lot more angle through the heads. That gives him a little bit more free length. Now there is 4 out of 5 9 misses by Jose. Now Jose's going to go home and he's going to go, if I could have made that 10 pin, I could have won.
Yeah, I don't know if does he have a spare ball? I couldn't tell if he had a spare ball.
Well, he obviously doesn't have a spare ball, or he'd have a spare.
Right.
Sorry, Jose. I know your family's watching, bro, but you got
valid
4 9 misses. Jose, move your feet to the left. Go cross lane at that 10 pin, please.
His family's just happy that you're talking about him. So I know a lot of people would be happy if Norm Duke was mentioned in their name. Well, except, you want to mention it on like a 300 game or something big. But, ooh, that's going to need the whole pocket for the lefty, and he crosses over. So,
Leah, she was on a turkey right there. Looked like a good shot, but she left a 2-4-5.
Yeah, Leah, we've been fine. I mean, it's got to, if she's got school left this year, she's going back to school tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
And telling all her friends.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Yeah, she's going to tell her friends. And then Robert on a double. He's got double spare double, and he gets up into the 9th frame, and that's the difference in a house shot and this shot is if you elbow that thing, get it going toward the gutter, it's going in.
Yep.
There's just not enough help outside of 5 to bring your ball back if you elbow it. You have to get full hand in it. Oh, Jose with the strike, you big dog. You will not miss the 10 pin this frame.
Yeah, and there you see, I mean, that ball's easily 12 boards to the left,
yeah,
from where it went in the gutter, and he shreds the rack.
So he only lost count. Attaboy, Robert. Now he's going to shake his head and say, man, where did that come from? I feel your pain.
Is there a gutter ball in your career that still sticks out to your mind? Because, I mean, you had to play the twig how many times on tour and everywhere? And is there one that really sticks out in your mind to this day?
Well, probably out of spare, but no.
Oh, okay.
No, I forgot the gutter balls.
Okay.
we just eliminate them. There are so many times you throw it in the gutter that it mattered, that you just blow it off. It's just same as leaving a washout, you know.
Now we got a little stop action here with Leah. Looks like that 4 is going to stand. We're going to break away from that for a minute. Our networking bouncing around a little bit on that pair.
Good shot, Fabiola.
I have one. I was on the front 20 in league one night and put it in the ditch.
On the front 20?
On the front 20.
Okay. You win.
And shot 792.
You win. I do have a memorable gutter, though, and that was by Mika. It wasn't me. He threw in the gutter at a 10 pin for the U.S. Open. Bless his heart. I tell you what. He had that tournament won. He needed a mark in the 10th, left just a stonedest ringing 10 ever, and threw it in the gutter to let me win. So it's awfully hard when you say, do you have a gutter that you remember? Well, I can't remember any of them because Mika's just overshadowed all of them.
No doubt. Hey, it's good to see Mika back in the States, too, taking on the PBA 50 Tour this year. So I know they've got the Super Senior. Mika's not there yet. I know they got the Super Senior in Las Vegas finishing up today. Guess who's in the top 8? Lenny Borsch. How about that? Our champion here last year in the Senior Classic division, battling cancer during that time frame all the way through till now.
Yeah, we saw him at the Hall of Fame banquet just a few weeks ago, and, you know, he was in between his sessions. And, you know, we all send our prayers, our love, and also we are rooting on you, Lenny Borsch.
Yeah.
Go get you another one. And I bowled against Lenny for 8 years on the senior tour, what they call the PBA 50 tour. But I also bowled against him as a youngster as well. So there are many, many years, and he's one of the good guys, no question. Yeah,
he's one of the guys that, I mean, he committed to a pro shop, owning a pro shop early on that's still open to this day. Tom Clark was a little upset yesterday because he wanted a new ball drilled so he could bowl a couple things coming up, and Lenny's out in Vegas.
He's in Vegas.
When the pro shop, when your pro shop guy is in Vegas, we got to be rooting for him. So it's good to see Lenny out there, and Lenny's taking enough of my money in Wisconsin over time, so I got smart and stopped bowling against him.
Yeah, he beat me once in a major title match.
Florida,
in the
Villages. He that bowling center. I don't know why he's always done so well there. He almost took me out one year on during the championship match. It was the year before yours. He won it when it was just the Blue Cross tournament, and he ran a shot out, and he didn't realize that I was there with a camera on the side for extra frame, and all of a sudden he's jumping at me, and I'm like, whoa.
Here he comes.
And that's where the nickname Leapin' Lenny
no doubt.
came from on that one. Yeah, Leapin' Lenny.
See, I don't even know where Flash comes from. Do you have
I don't know
background
either.
there?
There's a couple of these guys that I'm sure somebody in the chat knows why it's Flash, and we'll get that shortly. So.
Okay, Jeremy West on lane 29. You're looking at that 5 count where you missed the head pin to the left. Look, you're probably going to watch a little bit of this later. I'm going to talk to you about that. This push away is so far to the right, and that it will get stuck behind you. Now it has to wrap all the way around your body. If you drop it a little bit, it's going to miss right. If you hang on, it's going to miss left. And so therefore, you are really relying on a perfect release. So I want you to push that ball right in front of the right knee. In order to do that, Jeremy, you're going to have to feel like you're placing the ball in your push away to your left pocket. That's what it's going to feel like. But do it. Put it on camera, get it straight, and next year when you come back here, you'll never miss the head pin to the left. There you go.
There you go. Was there a person early on in your bowling career that you went to when things were stuck and they were your eyes and they'd get you lined back up and that kind of thing?
Man,
and timing? How many?
No. I had one of the best scenarios in which Bill Hall and I were with 2 or 3 companies together.
Okay.
We were with Champions, and we were with Power Play, and then we were with Hammer.
Okay.
And Bill is one of the greatest bowling minds, and we taught each other so much. He appreciates me because a lot of the things that he teach for many, many years came from our discussions. We would have talks at night till 2, 3 in the morning about how do we get this done. And he gave me 2 or 3 of those nuggets that I took with me for the rest of my life. And he would put a lighter, and then he would put a pencil, and then he would put some matchbook, and he would put things on the approach and say, Norm, this is where I want your feet. And you're walking with 2 biggest steps early. And I didn't realize how important that was until I finally nailed it and got my feet really, really scrunched early.
Okay.
And then I got a bigger stride at the end, and that's when all of a sudden now I could out-hook everybody.
Okay.
So that was one of those nuggets that I'll never forget about.
Yeah.
Is that when he scrunched my feet early, and then I even took a step off. I was 7 steps back then. I took a step off, and then I started walking 1 step backwards first because I liked 7 steps.
Yeah.
But I didn't have enough room in a 15-foot approach, so I took a first step backwards and then scrunched my feet, and all of a sudden my stride got bigger. So when you're asking, do I have anybody that was instrumental in my career and success, absolutely Bill Hall. If you ever get to Las Vegas and you want to learn from one of the greatest coaches in the world, Bill Hall, he's there still coaching.
Is he down at Sunset Station? Is that where he's coaching?
I think so.
I think that's where he's at. So
he has moved around a little bit, but he's still in Las Vegas.
Yeah,
it's still very accessible.
Beautiful bowling center as well down at Sunset
and
Station.
And it's affordable. It's not like you're going to go in there and you're going to pay, a price that you would pay for a golf instructor of his
right
classification.
So, all right, we're finishing up Game 3 here. We're going to be getting into Game 4 momentarily. So. Once again, we're going to take a little audio intermission. I'm going to go grab a beverage from the snack bar here, and got running on empty at home. I suggest you do the same. More questions to Norm, throw them in the chat. More than happy to answer them. More than happy to share some stories. And we're all very happy that you've joined us here today on the main feed for our 11 a.m. squad here for the 2024 PBA LBC National Championships from Bolero Mount Prospect in Mount Prospect, Illinois. right, let's go find some flash. As we got Jason Sterner, front four here in game 4. Thanks everybody for joining us from Bolero Mount Prospect in Mount Prospect, Illinois, for the PBA LBC National Championships. This is the 2024 edition. Second year of this event. Last year we were at Bolero Wauwatosa. New home this year. Same 6-game qualifying blocks. A little different on the oil pattern, but same amount of fun and money can be had, if not even more money than last year, as entries are up quite a bit over last year. There's still spaces available on all 6 of our remaining weekends of competition. End up in mid-July. As our last squad will take place on July 14th. And we're watching Jason Sterner on this squad. Not all squads will have PBA exempt division players on them. As Flash now front 5. So next weekend, if you're a Chris Prather fan, come on out and watch here at Bolero Mount Prospect. He'll be bowling the 2 p.m. squad. Saturday, June 15th, AJ Chapman's going to bowl bright and early on our 9 a.m. squad. Justin Knowles, Kevin McCune, and Zach Tackett will be here June 23rd on our Sunday morning 11 a.m. squad. Saturday, June 29th, DJ Archer, Sean Lavery Spar, BJ Moore, Matt Ogle, Kyle Troop, and Zach Wilkins, all bowling on the 9 a.m. squad. If you want to see a lot of players, not just from the PBA Tour, but the PBA 50 Tour as well, lots of PBA 50 players bowling at 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. on June 29th. Chris Barnes being one of those on the 2 p.m. squad. And we wrap up our players in June on Sunday, June 30th, with Andrew Anderson, Graham Fa, Tom Hess, and Matt Sanders. Additional players bowling in July include A.J. Johnson, Francois Lavoie, E.J. Tackett on Saturday, July 6th at 9 a.m. Sunday, July 7th, Sean Rash is on the 11 a.m. squad. And for our last weekend, July 13th, 9 a.m. we'll have Mitch Hupe and Nick Pate. 2 p.m. we'll have Stu Williams. And we will wrap up our PBA exempt division participants with Bill O'Neill on our final squad, Sunday, July 14th, 11 a.m. Here comes Flash. Plus 76, so he's averaging 225 for his first 3, but he's looking to raise everything up here. Average-wise. and score-wise, as he's on the front half, looking for the spectacular 7th strike in a row. This is Norm gets back in the booth. We'll have him answer a few more of your questions. Not happy with that one for Flash, and you see why. A little unusual, leaving the 2-7 combination. I think if you had a chance to ask Jason Sterner right there, he'd say fully executed in a poor manner. For what happened on that shot, I don't think it was a lane transition or anything fooling him. $2 Phil Brylow bringing you through all the weekends of action here from Bolero Mount Prospect. Not every squad the rest of the way will have its own booth feed. We only have booth feeds, the main feed here, when we have PBA Tour professionals that'll be joining us. So we'll give everybody a heads up on social media. If you haven't already liked the PBA League Bowler Certification Facebook page, give it a shot. If you're subscribed to the PBA YouTube channel, set your notifications on, as you'll see when we go live for every squad, and it'll also let you know if you look at our schedule page for YouTube Live. A couple days beforehand, you'll see what squads have booth feeds. No matter what, you're going to be able to watch every pair, every frame, every game, every squad of the tournament here on PBA YouTube. All of our pair feeds having the ambient sounds and beautiful sights of one Bolero Mount Prospect. And Norm Duke back in the booth. And Norm, we've got Flash bouncing back after converting the 2-7 on the front 6 in a row. So Flash has found something moving pairs. And as we know, these PBA events are a lot different than sitting on a pair of lanes, because pair of lanes, you can groove them in all night, do what you want. Flash moving pair to pair here, it's he's got to really stay on his toes.
Well, yeah, and he did make the move inside, and so he's in what I call virgin territory now. There's so many amateurs on the floor that very few of them are going to be inside a fourth arrow. Well, he's probably crossing just right a fourth arrow, but he's throwing it to the burn down lane and bouncing it back. What does that do? Gives him angle into the pins and gives him a couple of more off hits. Hence the reason he's got 6-bagger to start. Plus, pair to pair won't be near as different inside than they will be where all the traction is.
Right. Leah Gerard hanging in there, one of our girls' handicap divisions. So neat. We have so many bowlers on this squad that are bowling in either the boys' handicap or girls' handicap divisions.
Yeah, there's Mason.
Yeah.
Mason Hurst.
How's Mason doing so far? Hey, he's got
he's got 3 out of 4 marks.
Okay.
Got a strike up. Well, bless Leah's heart. She just 9 missed. Or excuse me. That's
7-2,
not her.
Yeah, 7-2. She just
There
went
she
over.
is, 7-2. You know, I have glasses, but I still have a problem seeing. Now, Glenn Mills here, I can read that shirt. If you can't see that, now you're worse off than I am.
And Mills pops the big strike on the board. Glenn is bowling in the Senior Classic division. So, and the neat thing this year, last year with the Senior Classic division, it was just our top finisher, Lenny Borsch, making it to Bayside Bowl. Now, Lenny, he had just turned 60, so he was a super senior anyway. But this year with the PBA LBC National Championships, the highest finishing player in that Senior Classic division that's 60 or over, that's a super senior, also goes to Bayside Bowl and makes it on TV. So
isn't that great?
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. I mean, just, John Fanta, when he was on the commentary last year with you and Randy early on in the show, just, I can't believe the age variety of the players out here. It's awesome. We have 17-year-old to 60-year-old. But that's the best part about the sport of bowling. You can be 17 years old, you can be 7 years old. You can be 77 years old and still come here and bowl in the PBA LBC National Championships.
Yeah, Lee's only
and have
13.
your shot. She's only 13. Wow.
She's only 13, yeah. Now, listen, people ask, Norm, all right, so in an environment like this, how much should I migrate left? Let's just assume that we're all going to migrate left. Very seldom would we not. How much? All right, double what you think, triple what you think. So we see game 4, Jason Sterner is probably at least 15 boards deeper than he was game 1.
Yeah.
And that's only 3 games. So that's 15 boards on the lane. How many on his feet? Probably 25.
Oh,
so
easy.
he's 20 to 25 boards left of where he started in game 4. Now then, how many boards do you think you would have moved in 4 games? Would it be 25 on your feet? Probably not. So when you get here, realize that the rev rate alone is going to make lanes dry out a little quicker, okay? And then you have 4 people on a lane. That's not 5 on a lane. That's not 10 on a pair. It's 4. However, you're going to have a little more rev rate than normal, and double it. If you don't keep up with it, you're going to say to yourself, I got soft. Probably not. It just looks like the ball's soft because it's in the friction and slowing down.
Well, let's see what Flash can do here to pop 3 in the 10th, put 278 on the board, and double his plus. Using the PBA plus minus system, he'd be plus 76 right now. He's got 3 games in, 200's
yeah,
par.
154.
Yeah, get up there and double that plus.
Oh, he left. That's left.
Ooh.
Oh, no, and that is just true. All right, so when you're in a position like this and you're on a double in the 10th frame, we want to throw it as hard as we can and bounce it out of the back. We want to do nice split spare right there. Can't make that 10 pin, but he got that split. And you know what? He did it for 1 pin. He did it in the field ball. He only got 1 pin for that.
But he did it in front of Flash.
Yeah, he did.
Say I was just showing off.
So Jason's just going to, he picked his speed up a little bit just in case it wants to get out of there. But the main thing is he said, look, I've already made the mistake. I'm just get what you can and move on. Don't give more away just because you think you're going to get this pin out of the back. That was a big, big mistake, too.
Yeah.
Goodness, you're talking about getting in there with 278. Instead, you get 244. Huge. That was a good shot right there by Robert. That gets him a turkey and bails him out to, well, he's still got to get 1 more for the 200 game.
Yeah. Seeing more players. I remember the first player I ever saw throw one-handed without a thumb was Mike Miller.
Mike Miller, of course. He beat me in the national championship that way.
Okay.
I know.
There aren't too many people that haven't beaten you at one point in time or
I'm
another.
telling you, I put a lot of people in the Hall of Fame. That's what I'm saying. I single-handedly put Walter Ray there. People say, what's it like bowling against Walter Ray all those years? And I'm telling you, he won 47 titles on my watch. And I did everything I could in my power to stop that run.
Yeah.
And it's almost like there's nothing you can do about it.
It was funny last weekend. I was covering a regional in Lockport right down the road here in Illinois, and some of the players are having success with Storm's new IQ 78.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you start hearing, and they were playing on the Scorpion pattern, they were playing outside. They were playing right up 5th board, and all of a sudden everybody goes, I feel like Walter Ray today, red ball at 5. How many titles did he win that year doing that?
The red ball at 5, I tell you what.
Oh, Mason.
People don't realize, though, they think Walter Ray was, down and in. Oh, no. He was the hook ball player when he first started bowling on tour back in, I think, 1979 or 80.
Yeah.
And I watched him lead by 300 or 400 pins in Las Vegas, where the very first ball of the very first game of the day, he is about going through the heads at about 26-7, lofting it. At night, we only dressed him once per day, right? At night, he's throwing it airborne over a gutter capping, hooking the lane, and he's leading by 350. And I'm telling you, my man could do whatever he wanted to do with a bowling ball.
Yeah. And nowadays, he's throwing two-handed. I remember being at the regional, covering the regional, or not regional, the PBA 50 stop up in Minnesota.
Yeah, once he gets inside a 4th era, you're going to see him with 2 hands now. And you know what? That's Walter Ray's mindset.
Yeah.
He says, I'm going to get better every time I bowl.
Yeah.
That's his point. I'm going to get better every time I bowl. Yeah. So he never just stood on pat. I'm pat.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
he sees Belmo coming, and he goes, well, let me try that. And next thing you know, I saw him bowl a 300 game on the PBA 50 tour right next to me with two hands, and I said, man, that's my man, Walter. I'm glad that he's doing that because I wanted others to see just what sort of a talent this man had. And he was over 60 at that point, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just he goes back home, and he's one of the he loves putting himself out on social media with his he takes his tablet with him. Doesn't matter if it's practice, league, whatever. You get to see what get to see what Walter Ray is doing, either on the lanes or at the horseshoe. And he's shooting let's start watching him shoot horseshoes left-handed. I'm surprised he hasn't bowled a regional or something left-handed.
I am too. You know, Walter Ray is 6-time World Horseshoe Pitching Championship. Oh, but he's got him with both hands. Yeah, he can do. If it's underhanded, don't gamble against Walter.
I'm thinking that, and I thought I saw somebody on social media post over the last week or two about Walter Ray now thinking about taking up cornhole.
Why wouldn't he?
Right.
Who's going to beat him in cornhole?
Exactly.
I'm not betting it.
No. I'm like, one of these days I'm going to turn on like CBS Sports Network when they got ACL on, and hey, here we go. Here's Walter Ray Williams Jr. in the senior division taking on, trying to take down that title.
Yeah. There's Jeff Hirschman there with a 6-bagger. He had, a couple of splits early. One of them was an open. Spared one of them, but hey, if you can finish with the back 9 every time, then you can make up with some early opens.
Hirschman in our Open Classic division, of course, $25,000 on top.
Here's Mason Hurst. He's got to have some hold.
Oh. And he was talking yesterday about how he had a bowl on a house shot. He wasn't happy about it.
Well,
but that's the thing. These young players,
they do.
Yeah.
They demand chess. They don't want checkers.
No.
And that is going to save us.
Yeah, it's all these youth. I mean, there's several youth tours around this area. The one that sticks out in my brain, Deandra Asbeatty with her Elite Youth Tour that she pairs up with Storm.
God love her.
And H5G and other sponsors. And last year I jumped in on an event due to the live streaming because Emil Williams Jr., who does work for the USBC, he was at a USBC event and helped them out. You just watch these kids, and you watch the Gianna Brandolinos, and you watch the Landon Jordans and the Griffin Jordan, and you just go, wow, these kids are unreal.
Yeah, Cortez, he's almost like a veteran now.
Right, and he's like 22, and he's the old guard.
He's the old guard.
Steve Jaros last weekend walked in. He was on A squad last weekend in Lockport. And he walked in. He goes, I could be a grandfather to 20% of the squad because there was a lot of PBA junior players.
It was 40%.
Yeah,
40%.
He goes, I could be a grandfather.
Oh, Jeff, you missed you missed right on that one. You could tell. But he did get the first shot in the 10th, so it wasn't, catastrophic for him.
Yeah.
That's a 7-bagger with an open. He looks like 246.
Yeah. Hey, let's get some questions.
Sorry, 244.
Let's get some questions going for Norm in the chat. We're going to take another audio intermission here as players move between games. We'll keep following Flash. He's going to make the big move from the high end to the low end of the house, and we'll get some opinions from Norm about what you do sometimes on making that move. And once Flash gets underway here, so joining us once again for the 2024 PBA LBC National Championships. This is our last squad opening weekend. Thanks, everybody, for watching on YouTube. Smash that share button. Let everybody know they got a couple more games to get a chance to talk to one of the greatest of all time here, Norm Duke, with those questions. once again, Jason Sterner trying to come back off a early open frame. You've seen that happen to him several times today. He's had 120 over for 4 games. That plus 120, that's PBA lingo. Par on the PBA Tour is considered 200, so he's bowled 4 games. 4 times 200 is 800, and then you take his actual score, subtract it. Subtract 800 from that, and that gives you your plus or minus on the PBA Tour. So in this case, Sterner's plus. If let's say he would only had 720 for his first four, he'd be minus 80. 800, 720 off of that, minus 80. So easier to follow 68-game tournaments like the World Series of Bowling with a plus-minus total than saying 13,862 pins. No doubt about that. And
I'm 13,720.
Yeah. I did that once, and PBA on Extra Frame back in the day, and I think PBA fans were ready to revolt at that point in time because they were trying to figure the math out instead of just doing, well, plus 68 games in. Well, he's plus 1,368. And no, 13,368 pins. What? What do you mean? Yeah, that's how many pins he's knocked down this. Well, it's like E.J. Tackett, you think about it. He's bowled 460 games on the PBA Tour this year. He's averaged 230. I mean, imagine trying to repeat that pinfall.
I'm 275,000 for the year.
I think I jokingly asked Walter Ray one time when he knew he knocked down his millionth pin on the PBA Tour. And I think he actually told me that, I don't know if he was half joking or not, but I think he actually told me the term and he did it in. When he knocked down 1 million pins on tour.
Wow. I'm not, you know what? My man's a physics major.
Right.
He did things so differently in so many ways. And you can't question any of it.
I used to have access to the PBA stats before Valero took over, and
nice.
You could actually see, because they had every tournament recorded, you could actually see all the pinfall people had. I spent one tournament like figuring out who won the most money per pin on tour over so many years and that type of thing. I think Chris Barnes was number 1. I think he ended up winning. He was winning like $1.27 a pin or something like that.
That's good
for his career pinfall total.
Yeah, but that doesn't count his amateur career, which,
right.
You add up all those mega buck tournaments.
Yeah.
There was something, a idiosyncrasy about those mega buck tournaments where you got guys like Janowitz and Chris Barnes, and God, there were so many folks that they just knew, well, I could go out there and bowl against Weber, Walter Ray, Amleto, and Norm, or I can bowl against amateurs 3 times a year for $100,000, $200,000. And that was the reason that Chris Barnes did not go pro right out of college.
Yeah.
And he says of course his career would have been better, his professional career would have been better. Would he have made more money? No, because he made a decision based on what was better for his lifestyle. If he had made the choice to go pro right out of college, who knows what his career would look like right now.
And it's just one of those situations where, especially with just starting a family or something like that, it's what do you do to support the family the best? I mean, there's been several guys that, Darrell Bauer kind of reminds me of those where he could have been a really good player on tour full time for a lot of years, but family bowling center back home in Pennsylvania, that type of thing, and he came out and bowled the summer tours and did very well. Yes. When he came out and bowled the summer tours back in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, and then he went on full time on the senior tour when he got of age because he had a manager.
Right. Oh, I got the kids now they can wear.
Right.
There's several of those guys. Jeff Johnson, he's from out in Freeport. His sons run the center when he's not in town, and he's been bowling full time and ball reps for Brunswick on the senior tour as well when he's out there. So, yeah, it's just neat to see the guys like the Lenny Borst Juniors and the Jeff Johnsons and the Darrell Bowers that have the chance now, thanks to the PBA 50 Tour, to make Hall of Fame careers. Tom Hess, for a lot of years, he didn't bowl full time on tour.
No.
Got the one win at the Masters in 2011, and all of a sudden he gets on the senior tour, and bam! By the time he's 56, he's got enough wins under his belt. Gets inducted in the PBA Hall of Fame for the.
I tell you what, he got so much better at 50. Now he can compete on both tours.
Yeah.
And beforehand, he struggled on our tour. He did win the Masters, but he struggled on our tour, but he got better. Yeah. And kudos to him for that. Now he's in the Hall of Fame.
Right. And Tom Esso, as we said, one of those players you'll be able to bowl with if you're on the same squad on Sunday, June 30th, 11 a.m. out there for Hess. He'll have Matt Sanders, Graham Fott, Andrew Anderson bowling. So a couple lefties, a couple of righties on the PBA exempt at this point in time. Sterner, spare, three-bagger, spare.
No, that's spare open.
Oh, it is
three-bagger
spare.
So he's on
yes.
206 right now.
Yep.
Leah, bless her heart, she's just trying to get that ball. It either moves or it doesn't move.
So, and that's the one thing about these young kids. Sometimes you think, I remember back in the day, they used to think that some of these kids come into tournaments 6-8 games at a time. Well, I don't know, those kids are going to get tired of that type of thing. You know, these kids are bowling qualifying formats all over now in some of these weekend tournaments at 6-8 games, and then they go into match play the same day, and they get 10, 12 games, 14 games under their belt before they're done. They're conditioned for.
I'm tired just hearing that. I need a nap.
There was a tournament, a youth tournament somebody ran, and it was a triple elimination format. You had to lose 3 times before you were out, and they had a 60-some player field. They had to bowl 22 games before they had a champion. Before everybody else but one player had lost 3 times. 22 games in a day.
Yeah, not the 17.
Flasher.
I once won the Dick Weber marathon, and the last 3 standing was Parker Bone, Martin Larson, and me.
Okay.
4 sets prior, one of my great friends, Rhino Page, was walking past me. He had just gotten eliminated, and he looks at me and said, "God, I'm glad I'm done." No, he was in his probably 17th, 18th game of the day, whatever it was at that time. Parker and Martin Larson and I were in game 26, and they said, we're going to bowl 3 games and then cut to 2, from 3 bowlers to 2 bowlers. And so we all got in a huddle with Kirk Von Kruger, the 4 of us, and we said, Kirk, why can't we just bowl the 3 games right now and you finish 1, 2, and 3?
Right.
Now, we had been bowling, this is a marathon, that day we were in game 26. And he said, Norm, that's a great idea. If everybody's okay with that, we're going to do it right now. Yeah. I ended up winning because we only bowled about 3 games. And with the age of those 3, I finished in almost 30 games. I finished with 850.
Wow.
For the 3. Parker shot 790 and was almost shut out halfway through the 3rd game. And Martin Larson shot like 670, and he wasn't in play after game 1.
He was a pacer after the first. Yeah.
Pacer, yeah. So, we understand what it takes to bowl for a living and get inside of 30 games.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot. If you ask us to do that right now, nope, no, thank you.
Here's a good question. Someone looking for an opinion from you, Norm. Who will have better accolades when both careers are done, Belmo or EJ Tackett? Belmo or EJ Tackett?
Both.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can't go on either resume right now.
Well, Belmo's already got 15 majors, so it'd be awfully hard not to just say, well, Belmo.
Right.
But EJ's, I don't know how many majors he has, 5, 6, 7, 8? I don't know.
Five for sure.
5 for sure. So he's 10
titles.
majors back. I'm going to say Belmo, but EJ is absolutely a dominating athlete right now. It's just incredible what he can do. So, I'm a fan. I love them both personally. I love them both watching them bowl. And they're just so doggone good that you can't make that call.
Would Earl Anthony be competitive on today's Pro Tour?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Now, people ask me, this is probably the better question, is how would Belmo do in the 80s, in the 70s? Mm-hmm. And I say, well, Belmo would have done the same thing Belmo did. He'd have done it with one hand.
Yeah.
Trust me on that. I'm not guessing, folks.
Yeah.
He would have done it with one hand because you could not do it. We all started young, and we all started with 2 hands. We got out of 2 hands because you couldn't compete. Now, they say, well, why couldn't he compete? Here's why, folks. We used to put 7 mils, maybe 8, maybe 6, of oil, milliliters of oil on a lane.
Yeah.
And we bowled 4 6-game squads with 4 on a pair. Now we're putting 30 milligrams of oil on that same lane, and they're re-oiling them after 6 because they're burnt.
Yeah, because they're locked in the left gutter otherwise.
So at night, we were throwing blue dots and taking a finger out of it, throwing it with one finger and heaving it as fast as we could throw it, and we lived on the nose. We could not keep it off the nose. We would even run out of room and then go right back out to the first arrow where they were just burnt to crisp because that was the slicker part of the lane now. No way with 2 hands could you throw the speed. There is just no way. So midway through the day, Belmo would have been done with 2 hands.
Okay.
Now, would that mean that his career would look differently? Heck no. He would have done whatever he needed to do, i.e., he would have taken one-handed Belmo, and he would have won 15 majors that way. Now then, people say, well, the two-handed new thing. No, it's not new. We did it when we were kids as well. It just was a different game back then.
Yeah.
Why are we putting 30 milligrams of oil in lanes? To accommodate the bowling balls.
Yeah.
Why are we accommodating bowling balls? Well, because we don't have rules that prevent us from going to bigger, badder, faster bowling balls. So they're building bowling balls that suck up oil quicker. 30 milligrams of oil doesn't last as long.
Yeah.
Back then, we'd bowl all day long on 7 mils of oil.
And what people don't remember or don't realize sometimes is that the oil is there. Sure, you can make patterns and all that stuff, but it's there to protect the front part of the lane, the friction of the friction of the lane. Back in the days of wood lanes and shellac surfaces, just as talking back 1920s, 30s, 1940s, you could put your thumbnail into the shellac.
Yes, you could.
You could absolutely put it in the shellac. So they used the oil to protect the shellac so it wouldn't burn the shellac off the lanes. When it switched to lacquer, it was the same thing, except they didn't oil the lane all the way down because otherwise because it was a harder surface.
Yeah.
So,
here's another thing.
Yeah.
70s, let's say later 60s.
Okay.
You had track shots.
Yeah.
Track shots.
Yeah.
Two-handers aren't going to win on track shots.
Right.
When I bowled on track shots, okay, I couldn't beat Mike Durbin. No way.
Yeah.
Because he could keep his ball in that track. I couldn't beat Nelson Burton Jr. I couldn't beat Neil Burton because they could keep their ball in that track area. And we had too much rotation and too much rev for our ball to lay down in the track. That's why Don Carter was such a devastating bowler back in the days because he scooted it. He had a bent elbow and he did not rev it. He scooted it. But he would lay it down in that track. That track would then move it solid in the pocket every time. Now, how is a two-handed bowler going to compete with that? It's not going to happen.
No.
Okay. Our softest ball back then was a white dot back in 1972, I guess. A white dot was our softest ball.
Right.
So we were using spare balls all the time.
Yeah.
So
and because of the lane surface, because of how soft the lane surfaces were, those balls would pick up friction so early. You couldn't use today's balls on lacquer.
Yeah, we would ball down
shellac.
to a Ripley.
Yeah.
And we'd ball down to a black diamond. And you're not talking about a whole lot of difference between a white dot and a black diamond. Yeah. But it was huge for us because we could get it another 3 feet down the lane.
Right.
And that was the whole thing back then is how could you manage the night round when there is no more oil on the lanes? So the game has changed in that regard. If I was bowling right now, I'd be a two-hander, and if Jason Belmonte was bowling in the 80s, he would be a one-hander, and I'm not guessing.
No, absolutely. It just when you go back and look at the history of how the surfaces and the bowlers and what they've done have changed. I love going on YouTube sometimes and falling on the old championship bowling rabbit hole where you'd see Dick Weber versus Don Carter in the black and white, and you'd still see this. You'd see the track burned out.
You'd see it
in the lane because of all the friction. Even though these are hard rubber bowling balls, they'd still get through that little bit, the 6-7 mils of oil, and make friction on the lane. So yeah, it's just amazing how the game has changed, but the game is still the same because the average all 10 pins down one shot.
Still have 60 feet of lane.
Right.
And Jason Sterner has not had the best 10th frames in this round.
No.
Usually your 10th frames are supposed to be your best when you're a pro because you're lined up. However, you can see the look on his face. It doesn't mean just because you're lined up you're going to make a good shot. It doesn't mean that it's a gift. It just means you have a little more of a chance to get the double.
Yeah.
But you can tell he's aggravating himself for leaving the 3-6-10 in the 10th on a strike.
Yeah, and we're going to actually get a chance to have Jason come in the booth for a couple of minutes once he's done at the end of his squad. get his opinions on what he felt down there for the LBC National Championships and what's it like bowling with Leah and other players. When it's kind of the same but different. It's a PBA style event, but you have you have players of all ages and abilities around you. So it's gonna be neat to hear Jason's opinion once he's done with that. We're gonna finish off this this fifth game here, and once again,
we got any questions over there? Before we go?
That's why I was going to take a break again, because they need to line up more questions, fans. You're going to have one more game to ask a question, and yeah, we went through all of them. We got the EJ, we got the Earl Anthony, we got the we got everything so far. So yeah, let's take a little audio intermission again, and we're going to come back to Game 6, our final game of this third squad of the 2024 PBA LBC National Championships. Bolero Mount Prospect. The site for this event all the way through our 7 weekends. You can still sign up pba.com/LBC tournament. Get you all the information you need to participate and get your chance to win a lot of money. Get your chance to take down that Duke Trophy. The all important.
I love that trophy.
Over here. The Duke Trophy.
And we'll tell you a little bit about that trophy when we come back.
Yeah, there you see it right there. The Duke. Can't wait. All right, our final game of the weekend coming up here. We're sticking with Flash. Jason Sterner and his lane mates, Alex Rodriguez, Robert Proctor, Leo Gerard. You'll see Flash stepping up on lane 11 momentarily. Get those questions in for Norm Duke. Your last chance to ask for the weekend. And don't forget, if you want some great Norm Duke merchandise, h5gbrands.com. They've got the new Norm Duke t-shirt. I've picked mine up already. There you go with the Norm Duke signature and the Norm in motion right there. How about that? That is a beautiful, beautiful t-shirt available for you. If you can't make it here on site at Bolero Mount Prospect, h5gbrands.com. They also still have the 40 years, 40 titles t-shirt as well. That great Norm Duke shirt. And we'll get Norm back in here shortly. The fans love Norm. It's so awesome to see. I mean, 40 years on tour, the respect fans have to this day. It's another great day for bowling. It doesn't have to involve Norm throwing the ball down the lane anymore. Just the stories he can tell you and the happiness he has being in a bowling center. It's a great, great thing. It is spectacular. So Flash gets underway with a strike. Hey, thanks for the kind words in the chat. It's easy to do a great job on here when you got a Hall of Famer sitting with you. I just asked some questions that the fans are presenting. I'm just the moderator here. Norm's got the great advice, the great stories. And we got Flash starting with a strike here. He started on lane 12 with a strike. He'll be up in the second frame momentarily. And Hall of Famer Norm Duke joining us once again. And Norm, the questions are flowing back in.
Oh, it's great to be here.
It's awesome. It is awesome. What's the easiest way to improve my game from 180 to 210?
Spares. Just spares. When you practice, you know what? Shoot at the 7-pin and the 10-pin only on a full rack. You have about half the room, maybe even less, to knock the 10-pin only and the 7-pin only down as if you had them by themselves, right? So if you get proficient at knocking a 7-pin and a 10-pin down in one frame, then when you're only shooting a 10-pin, it looks so big. Now all of a sudden it looks like it's the easiest spare in the world. That's how you get better, especially from 180 to 210. I can tell already that spares are the number one thing there.
And another good question. What was your favorite animal pattern on tour?
All of them. And here's why, folks. Listen, if you have a favorite pattern, then you have a least favorite. There lies the problem. Now, I was fortunate enough to win on all the animal patterns, all of them. Why? Because I didn't have a favorite. I didn't say, oh, this is my least favorite, and I didn't get there with a preconceived notion of how I was going to perform. I said, no, I like them all equally, and therefore I got good at all of them.
I remember Dick Weber talking about with new players coming out on tour, and he said, here's what you need to know. Okay, let's say your favorite place to play in the lane is over third arrow. Well, you come out 1 week and it's in the track and it's not your A game and you don't cash. Then the next week it's playing outside the track, not your A game, don't cash again. Oh, great, here you go. Next week, hey, here's your third arrow shot. Unfortunately, there's 40 guys out here that are better than you on that third arrow shot, and once again, you might not cash.
Right,
so
and your third arrow shot's going to be there for 2 games. You're going to be in the fourth arrow, then the fifth, then the sixth.
Right.
Like you say, we only oiled the lanes once a day back then. Oh, we almost got that ball up. I could tell down lane 12, that ball wiggled. Yeah. Sometimes it's carry down. Sometimes it's so many plastic balls going at the 10-pin. Sometimes it's non-reactive balls, which carry oil down quicker because they don't flare as much and the oil doesn't get sucked up in there. Whatever it is, I saw that ball wiggle. He thought he had a chance. He's looking at the 4-8 spare. Choppable, so choppable here. Help him. Help.
Oh, and
you see, he knows there's chop there, so he plays in the middle of the 2 pins and just a little bit right or left. You either get a chop. You know, what do you do otherwise? Nothing. You do it exactly like he did it. You just make a better shot. But if you start with that early open enough times, you're done in this event because of the format. You have to be in the top 3 to move on.
There's a cryptic thing here from Greg Gutierrez, and it says, me, you, Billy Young, and Sal Vemini.
Oh, yeah. That could have been Edwards. That could have been, oh, man, I got a lot of people that could be.
Hey, Ringing 10, hey, thanks. I am the crew. Well, I can't say I am the crew. My lovely wife, Carrie's here as well, keeping everything going. And, for everybody, it's appreciated the live streams this weekend. It's a crew of 2 here, and we do it for the love of the game, love of the sport. Love being able to bring all these LBC participants out for fans and friends, family to watch, and appreciate the props out there from everyone in the chat. So
nice shot, Lee. Way to go. Is it Lee or Leah?
Leah.
Nice shot, Leah. Yeah. She just spared the 310.
Oh, here's another good question. Is it possible to play too far right in a pattern? Seems to be having problems picking up 10 pins. He's already like he says he's touching the ball return, trying to shoot the 10 pin, and he's missing. If he tries to move right, what could he do to try to do better making the 10
that's
pin?
A great question. Now, if your walk pattern is left to right as a right-hander, then shooting a 10 pin, you can't get left enough because of the ball return. Well, we would change our walk path to more straight in the first 3 or 4 steps, and then we would, in the middle of our swing, when it got to the very top, we would just angle to the right. So we walk straight. That puts us a little bit further left on the lane, gets us a little deeper, and then we'd pivot and then go straight. Now, if you're throwing it straight enough, you can walk right to left and still be deep enough for that 10 pin. So what I see in that question is the problem is you're still trying to hook a little bit. Whether it's 2 boards, 3, 5, whatever it is, no hook at the 10 pin is better. In fact, if you can cut a ball, in other words, a little bit of a backup ball from the 10 pin, you can take gutter out of play simply because you're working the inside of the lane. Yep. You're not exposing the ball to the gutter at all. You're coming from the left side, and it's moving to the right, so you're so far away from the gutter's not in play. That's how I like to shoot a 10 pin, because I hate throwing it in a gutter, shooting a 10 pin.
We're going to take a quick peek over here because we mentioned before the break, there you see on the backdrop behind lanes 33 and 34, a larger than life-size version of the Duke. The actual Duke is in the tournament office here. It's got to be a good 40 pounds.
It's heavy.
It's bronze.
It's solid bronze.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, it's the greatest. Boy, I tell you, the honor that I feel when I see that trophy is incredible. And then to see how many people want to take it home makes it even better. But let me give you a little stuff about this trophy. So Janae calls me one day. She says, all right, we're working on this Duke trophy. And I said, okay. So she sent me the photo, and she said, this is what they're going to do. And I said, oh, that's great. That's a good pose. Let's do that one. And then it comes back, and the right arm was like 3 times bigger than the left, and the chin was so small that it looked like Alfred E. Newman at Mad Magazine. All you need to do is put some freckles on there, and it would have been a. So we said, how do we want to change this? I said, well, we have to make the arms, the same size, and let's beef up the chin a little bit because that's just a little bit smaller than mine, even though I don't have a big chin. So I get version 2 in, and the chin became really big.
Like Jay Leno-ish?
Yeah. It was really big. But at that time, I have in my trophy room, I have a Chris Paul trophy in bronze. It looks nothing like Chris Paul. Yeah. All right, and it's one of my favorite trophies. And I said to Janae, it doesn't have to look like me. It really doesn't. I said, my trophy of Chris Paul doesn't look like Chris Paul at all, and I love it. And she said, so you're okay with this? And I said, well, go for it. So then on social media, when they come out with the trophy, funniest thing, if you're old enough to know what I'm talking about, Hollywood Squares, the Paul Lynn. It looks like Paul Lynn, that trophy does. And when I read that, well, now I can't look at that trophy without seeing Paul Lynn.
Well, now.
Yeah, exactly.
They should have. If it was Paul Lynn, they would have made it a bobblehead.
So I had a choice. I could either be Alfred E. Newman or Paul Lynn, and so I chose Paul Lynn.
At least you weren't. I've seen some of those ones like Ronaldo, the soccer player, and Lucille Ball, or even the bronze. I'm from Milwaukee, the bronze Fonz, the Henry Winkler statue that got a little bit better the second time around. But yeah, yours is real close. So yeah, but definitely. I never saw the Alfred E. Newman version of that. I'll have to ask.
Oh my gosh, it was just like Alfred E. Newman. Well, truth be known, about 15 years ago, Ryan Schaefer used to put paper or something on the wall in the paddock area, and it was always a big joke.
Okay.
And sometimes it wasn't even something you could put in public. I mean, he got dirty with it at times. Okay. So at one time he took the picture of me when I was Player of the Year, and it wasn't a photo; it was actually an artist rendition of me.
Okay.
And Alfred E. Newman's Mad Magazine. Both of them were the covers, and they were both out at that same time. And so what he did is he took a marker and he put maybe 8 or 10 freckles on me, and they got identical. And I saw that. I walked in the paddock and saw that, and I busted up. It was so unbelievably funny. Now, Ryan Schaefer's a funny man.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
And I went to him, and I said, he thought I was going to be mad at him. I went to him, and I said, that is adorable. It's absolutely phenomenal. And so when I saw that first one with the little chin, that's all I could think about was Ryan Schaefer and Alfred E. Newman.
Have you seen some of Ryan Schaefer's custom jerseys he gets for bowling on the 50 Tour?
Yes,
lately?
I have.
The monkey and the football. Yes.
The monkey and the football. Oh, this is just not even right. Yeah, my man is skewed a little bit, but he is such a fun guy to be around.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And one of the, most talented players out there for so many years.
For so many years, yeah.
And just, one of those guys, he'd get on TV so often, and it would be just one frame that would just get him, or an opponent getting a break that would just get him. And, he had to make 50 TV shows in his career easily. And a bunch of majors.
One of the problems with his TV is he made more shows in majors than just about anyone.
Yeah.
And so in those major championships, when it came down to who wins this, he's bowling Walter Ray, he's bowling Pete Weber, he's bowling one of the very, very best at that time.
Yeah.
So most of his shows were in major championships, and most of those were against the very best walk in the earth.
Yeah.
And so you look at it and you go, man, he had really struggles on television. He really didn't have that many struggles on television. It was just, look at the people that he's bowling.
Yeah.
And goodness.
Yeah, the new veterans category, when Tom announced that at the Hall of Fame banquet in 2023 that there was going to be a veterans committee for some of the players that are outside the 10 titles, 20 years, the 5 titles with at least 2 of those being majors. And Flash is really in trouble now.
Yeah,
I was so glad to hear him announce that. Not surprised that Steve Jaros was voted in as one of the first in that category. I hope Guppy gets in there, and I really hope Ryan Schaefer gets in that way too, because you sometimes you can't just always look at the win-loss record. You look at the money that guy's won over the years and everything. I hope that eventually in the next 5 years, Ryan's one of those players that gets voted in by the Veterans Committee.
Uh-oh.
Yikes.
Well, yeah, there are requirements.
Yeah.
To be Hall of Fame eligible. And you have to have 10 titles. You have to have, I think, 2 or 3 majors, one of the 2.
Yep.
So there are so many players. Ryan Schaefer, probably the number one. Steve Jaros, who got in last year in that category, absolutely the same. They don't have either of those.
Right.
But if you look at their body of work, it's Hall of Fame worthy. Now, Ryan Schaefer is a given that he's going to get into the Hall of Fame in that classification. He may even get in the Hall of Fame with his senior stuff coming up. Never know, but he will be a Hall of Famer, and for good reason.
Let's see, because Guppy has 8 titles. Steve Jaros had 7. Trying to see who else. Rhino Page only had 1 major. Right?
Yeah.
U.S. Open.
U.S. Open
so
in Garland.
He's just short. Have you talked to Rhino recently? I know he's got Grizzly Lanes in Bigfoot, Montana.
Yeah.
Ran into him. Last time I saw him was a couple years ago at
He's
Bowl
engaged
Expo.
to be married.
Really?
Yes, he is. He met an adorable girl there that I got to meet in last season's Bowl Expo.
Okay.
And he came not as a bowler, but as a bowling center owner manager.
Right.
And so he was a buyer. He was buying all kinds of stuff for his center, and I stopped and had lunch with him on 2 occasions, and I got to meet her. And good for Rhino. He's as happy as he's ever been.
Good to hear. Yeah, I know Marshall Kent's and got some interest in that same center, and
EJ?
Ronnie Russell and EJ Tackett have an RT pro shop there as well. So, yeah.
There's about 5 or 6 players that are invested in that, and it's a great investment. I mean, when they bought that, that center was in trouble. Now they have a junior league program that is second to none, and their future is set because they are taking care of their juniors. They're taking care of their clientele. He's even got some gambling in there because of the state.
Oh, yeah, with Montana, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So he's doing just perfect, and I love to hear stories like that.
Last time I was in Montana was the 2002 ABC National Tournament in Billings. We bowled like opening weekend. We got there, it was 70 degrees in February. We landed, it was 70 degrees. The next morning we woke up, it was 2 below. That was the end of that.
That 72 degrees change in one day.
So then they hadn't had, it was warm for the couple of days before that, so they hadn't had to have any of the heat on it was basically a giant barn. We were in there. They call it a convention center. It was a giant barn. They have a lot of livestock shows and such in that barn. So then the next morning they were getting ready to oil for the early morning squad. Turned all the blowers and fans on. Hay dust came out all. So they had everything was about 3 hours late that day.
Hay dust.
Yeah, and that was in the days where they had the 7:30 and 10:30 team squads. We started at 1:45 in the morning with our team squad.
Oh my goodness!
Next morning, I remember that because they had to clean everything up.
Right. Nice shot there, Leah.
That's one of those players next year, as soon as they open up, probably in October, they open up the entries for the 2025 edition of this PBA LBC National Championships. Give me Sunday morning, 11 a.m. I want to be here. And I'm sure next year, once again, we'll have Norm Duke opening weekend. This is the Norm weekend. It was last year. It is this year. It should be every weekend. Opening weekend should be the Norm weekend.
Yeah, one of the greatest honors I could be bestowed is just to be involved and affiliated with this event, have the trophy. As you're watching Jason Sterner last time here, left the 3, 6, 7, 10.
Oh.
A little bit of an over adjustment, otherwise he would have got a little more roll and carried the 10 pin.
Yep.
Yeah, people think that 10 pin is luck. It has very little to do with luck. Sometimes luck because of the rack, but most of the time it's because of the state of the ball when it enters the pins. Why do I leave a 10 pin? Because of deflection. If the ball deflects a little bit to the right off the head pin, it's more of the 6 pin, it's more of the 3 pin, it's less of the 6 pin, and you have the ring and 10. So what do? Well, you got to get the ball into the pins in a more momentous state. It's got to be tracking into the pins and running in them. You can't have it hit the pins while it's still skidding. That's deflection. And if that ball rolls out, it's going to deflect. In both cases, you're going to leave 10 pins and 7 pins.
So we're going to have a couple more frames here with Norm, and then we're going to bring Jason Sterner into the booth once he's done bowling, get his opinions on how he felt here.
Right. So anything that I said that he doesn't agree with, well, take my side, would you?
I will. Well, Norm said, Jay said, when you're in here, so. But I just want to take a moment. I know the fans want to take a moment while we're here. Norm, thanks for everything. I mean, thanks for this weekend. Thanks for the career. Thanks for the highlights. I mean, it's been awesome. It's just awesome to see. It didn't matter the age of the bowler this morning. They know you, they love you, and they want to just get a picture with you or get the autograph and stuff. And you always take so much time with the fans, and I, as a bowling fan, appreciate what you do for everyone. And I got to hit you up for one autograph before you leave for a buddy of mine that has loved you since he saw you when you were an 18-year-old on tour, and he always wanted to meet you, and he was trying to get down here this weekend and couldn't do it, so I'm making sure I'm bringing my buddy Bruce back an autograph, because I'm already bringing him back the new Norm Duke T-shirt. I got him the T-shirt. So I showed it on camera a little while ago. So he's getting the T-shirt. I was like debating whether or not he's gonna wear that T-shirt. I gotta get him an autograph. He can put it on his wall. His 2 favorite bowlers, you and Parker Bowen the third.
Well, I'll tell you what.
His 2 favorites.
Parker is way up there, and when you're talking about being a fan of bowling, if you're not a fan of Parker, then you don't know Parker.
Yeah.
And now he's got both of his kids. This Bone name is going to be around bowling.
Sydney's going to college. She just took down a PBA junior event for the girls 18 under in the last weekend, actually it was. So, yeah, the whole Bone family is just amazing. I have to talk to
the Bones, the Barneses, Doug Kent's. Oh, man, we have so many of the offspring of the pros that are coming out, and they had a little cheat. They like Barnes. I mean, how do you even go practice when your mom and your dad are both Hall of Famers?
Well, that's the thing. And Ryan didn't really get serious about his bowling till the pandemic hit.
I know.
And it's like, hey, Dad, let's go bowling.
Yeah. Oh, by the
know.
way, Dad, I'm going to be a two-handed bowler.
Yeah.
I'm going to run you over.
Yeah. Oh, and then but Linda goes, yeah, you two go step aside. I've been doing all this stuff at home and staying home. I'm going to go out and bowl the Golden Ladies out in Vegas and take that down for the first tournament I've bowled
She's
in
incredible.
a while. I know. So I get lucky enough a couple times now to work with Chris and Linda at a tournament in Milwaukee called the Junior Hall of Fame, and it's a great event run by Shannon Lubinsky, and like young players like Mason I'll see there, and the bowlers enter as doubles teams, and then they get paired up with a local Hall of Famer if they're lucky enough. Last year, A.J. Johnson was there, and A.J. was the first, to show you how tough the competition is in this tournament, A.J. in 17 years was the first professional that made the stepladder finals with their youth players.
Wow.
So I'm like, Chris Barnes was there the year before, and he didn't make it, and Amanda Vermelia was there the year before and didn't make it, and so it's just kind of funny. So where AJ was the first pro to finally make it into the stepladder.
I'll be darned, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, well, hey, Norm, thanks for joining us. We're going to get Flash in the booth as soon as he's done here. I know there's people I want to see before they go out the door, and I know you got to get ready to head home.
It's been wonderful to be here with you, Phil.
Absolutely. I'm going to find you for that autograph before we get out the door.
And to all you fans out there that love bowling, I'm a fan. I love bowling as well. We appreciate you so very much. You are what makes pro bowling pro bowling. So with that, I'm out.
Yeah, with that, Jason Sterner coming up next. right, so waiting to get flashing here. Jason Sterner taking some pictures, getting the – I mean, what a cool experience, not just for the fans, but for Jason as well. And we're going to get him wired up for sound here, and we'll talk to Jason shortly. And now joining me in the booth is a man known as Flash.
What's up, Phil?
Jason Sterner. Jason, PBA LBC National Championships. This is the second year of the event. This is the first time you didn't bowl on. They had the whole exempt squad for you guys last year.
Yeah.
This year, bowling with the. I mean, it's like bowling with the fans. How cool of an experience was it for you today?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I got to meet a lot of new people from this area. Got to bowl with a girl named Leia, who was pretty good, and she held her own out there on the pattern, so I was pretty impressed. So, not so much for my own bowling, but for theirs. But yeah, it was cool just shaking hands and getting to bowl with those, other people that you don't normally get to see.
Yeah, there's a lot of bowlers. You can look at the list. There's a list at PBA.com. There's an article on there today that shows all the different pros that are going to be here all the way through the tournament. Know you had a bowler. Norm mentioned you got a little one arriving shortly, so
yeah.
cool to see. Cool to hear.
That was Heather's like, you can bowl, but you got to bowl early, and then we got to hurry up and get back because at this point she's due anytime. So now it's just the waiting game. So.
Okay. Well, it's good to know. So let's get your opinion about the lane pattern here, because you usually see stuff that people would consider tougher on the PBA Tour.
Mm-hmm.
Last game bit you a little bit, 176, so we won't talk about that, but the pattern itself, it's pretty playable from a lot of angles, isn't it? Because we were watching you with Norm, and you were outside, then you were inside. Norm was saying how versatile you had to be on this pattern, but that shouldn't hold anybody back, should it?
No. I think just making good decisions. Like you said, there's multiple zones you can play. I think you just got to be strategic and know when to move. Obviously, I came in a little rusty, and you don't really know what to expect. You don't get a practice session on it, but you choose what you got and you go from there. Obviously, the last game kind of got me, but yeah, I mean, I felt like I could play right. I could play in the middle. I could shape it. I don't really know if that was the play. Obviously, the last game bowling 160. I don't know if that was it, but it could have just been catching the wrong pair at the wrong time, and it happens. So that's the game. But yeah, I mean, it definitely challenging, but not U.S. Open tough.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So yeah, because you bowled here in February during the Illinois Classic. Was there any knowledge that you gained from that time frame that turned over into here, like this pair played this way or this way, or because the patterns were so different, you kind of had to take a fresh outlook at it?
I followed my notes a little bit the first couple of games, which is fine. And again, we bowled on probably, I think, 4 to 5 feet difference in pattern length. Yeah. But some of the characteristics were the same. Some of the balls I used were similar layout-wise. But there was definitely a little bit more forgiveness to the right here, so I felt like that was good and bad for me because I kind of got trapped in trying to use it instead of doing what I would like to do, which is use the oil instead of using the friction. But again, it's just there's multiple zones in this house. From what I felt then, that it's really responsive down lane. So even with a longer pattern, like I still felt like I had hook down lane. Yeah.
So there you go. Heard it from the man himself, Jason Sterner. And Jason, did anybody bowl doubles with you or team today? Because not a lot of people knew you were on early in the weekend. Because you can bowl with anybody, team or doubles, as long as that first person pays the entry. So I didn't know if anybody on the squad saw you like, hey, can we bowl doubles? Or can we bowl team?
They didn't come up. And if they would have saw me bowl that last game, they probably would have been like, thank God, save my money.
Well, that only would have been for team because it's the first 3 for doubles,
right.
Second 3 games for team. So. And, so you can still sign up with any of the pros that list, once again, PBA.com. On the homepage is all the information you need about the second annual LBC tournament. Jason, safe travels. Congratulations on being a father, and good luck to you the rest of the year.
Appreciate it.
Thanks everybody, for watching today. We'll see you back here next time from Bolero Mount Prospect, 9 a.m., your start time next Saturday.